Yo guys, what's going on? It's Aces here today with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys a super good tip to make you some extra rubles here in Escape from Tarkov. Now, I originally had a video that isn't as in-depth as this one here today, so if you want to watch that one first, it's called something along the lines of do this after every single raid, and I'm going to give you the basics of it right now. Essentially, all you need to do is take a found raid weapon that you get out of a raid and find some attachments on it that are not part of the operational attachments, and then you sell those attachments for additional money on the flea market. So this SKS, for example, once the flea market decides to load, I will show you that the dovetail mount is worth a little bit of money and it is not an operational requirement. All right, so you can see the OP SKS dovetail mount is worth about 6,000 rubles. So I can list that up for 6K right now and it would sell immediately. So that's 6,000 extra rubles I'm getting out of this SKS when I'm not even using the mount. I take the mount off and you can see the SKS is still fully operational. So that's the gist of it here today. But this in-depth method was brought to my attention by Black Plasma in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, link in the description. Already like 100 some people in there. A great little community we got growing here on the channel and in the Discord. Super exciting stuff. Besides the point, but thank you to Black Plasma for bringing this method to my attention. I'm going to throw the screenshot on screen so you guys can pause the video and check out that entire explanation that he left. But what we're essentially doing is focusing on the AK series, and I do have an example here. Now, it's not as in-depth as he made it because there's some AK platforms that sell for a decent bit on the flea market, and I'm going to show you an example of that now. I believe the AKM is probably still going to be about a 40,000 ruble weapon. Let me just check. It is. So here's an AKM. I don't know how the hell my guy has, this much shit on an AKM right there, but usually, AKMs sell for about 43,000. Ignore this guy, but 43,000 is a really solid standpoint when it comes to selling an AKM. They're needed for a shit ton of tasks, and at the end of the day, they're still going to be 43K because that's what Proper has them for. So it's kind of like that price point has already been set. So that's a great example for AKs that will sell for more. But we're going to be talking primarily about the attachments and what attachments should you save off of those really shitty AKs that can still fit on some other AKs. So, alright, so in today's video, we are going to be using two VPOs for the example. But this VPO on the right, let's just think of that as an AKM. If we think of it as an AKM, then the list price would be 43,000 rubles. If you can't visualize it, I'm sorry. But you're just going to have to think of it as an AKM that we're going to sell later. We just pulled both these weapons out of raid. This one, nah, it's not really that good, man. There's nothing great on here. But we have this, which is our quote-unquote AKM, which is worth 43,000 rubles, but also has a Bastion dust cover and has a B10 handguard. Those are some decent attachments. The Bastion will sell for about 6,000 rubles, and that B10 might be between 10 and 20K somewhere. A good estimate on that is 15K. So between the Bastion and the B10, we have 20,000 in rubles in attachments. The dust cover, the Bastion, you can take off and will not affect the operational and functionality of the weapon. But if you go ahead and take that B10 off, the weapon is no longer operational, which you can see right here. It's no longer operational. So this AKM, quote unquote, we wouldn't be able to sell on the flea market. We technically could, but the operational only tab is selected by default. Therefore, not a lot of people are going to see it. So what you do is you take this really shitty VPO or really shitty AK that we're never going to use in our life. It's 48 durability. It's going to get sold to fence. What you do with these AKs when you get them is you take off the handguard. Now, this one doesn't have a dust cover for this example, but if it did, you would take that off as well so you can start saving some of them Bastions. And then I think there's another attachment that's called like the Z33 that sells for way more than the Bastion does. But now you can see we have two non-operational AKs. Now, our quote-unquote AKM, we can take this really shitty handguard and put it on. And what would happen is it is now operational. So we could sell this for 43,000 rubles and still have these two attachments. So that 43,000 ruble weapon just turned into a 63,000 ruble weapon. Hopefully that is starting to make sense on what we're going to be doing here. So then what you would do is every time you get a really shitty weapon, one of these VPOs, one of these AKs that are just not that great. This AKM, for example, this isn't bad, but if you got maybe one that is doesn't have a stock and doesn't have a muzzle brake and doesn't have a magazine, something crazy that might have been in somebody's backpack or something, you can take those handguards off once you take them out of the raid, and you can just save them. And essentially, you just build up handguards in your weapon cases, in your stash if you don't have any cases at all. But they just sit in here. They just chill out and they wait until you get one of those better AKs. You plop it on and you just sell it. It's as simple as that. Now, if you want to see what these are selling for, every time you get one of these, they're definitely worth it. This thing's actually way up right now at over 20,000 rubles. This is all extra profit, and just by saving those 700, 800 ruble found in raid handguards off those shitty AKs, you could essentially turn a 20,000 ruble profit just because you saved up some handguards. It is a phenomenal tip, one that I've never done this in depth. I have sold off attachments from weapons, but I've never actually done it for weapons that sell for more. So if you find a found in raid M4 and maybe you want to take off, maybe it spawns with an MK12, which aren't that expensive, but those gas blocks, a little bit better. Maybe you want to take that off and then put one of the regular shitty M4 iron sight gas blocks on. Just an example, M4 sell for like 50K. I can't really explain it any more than what I showed you in today's video. I tried to guide you when it came to, the step-by-step. But if you guys still aren't understanding it, really the only thing I could recommend is to just kind of play with it a little bit. Play with some of those weapon attachments until you might understand it. You can always watch the video again, but if it didn't make sense the first time, it probably won't the second time. You can also reread Black Plasma's Discord message. But at the end of the day, if you're not understanding it, you can try and leave a comment. I can try and help you out. But this tip is a lot more in-depth than some of my more beginner-style stuff. But it is one of those tips that's going to make you hundreds and potentially millions of rubles over the course of a wipe just by grabbing those extra attachments and grabbing those extra weapon sales. So I really like this one. I wanted to kind of bump it up on my priority list on some of those videos I want to get out sooner than later. This is a really good one. So make sure you drop it a like on this video for the content and for Black Plasma so he knows he dropped a really good tip. And, leave a comment for him as well. I'm sure he's a subscriber watching and he would love to see your feedback. Make sure you're checking out my sponsors. The equipment description below. Membership option is there as well for any of you guys who are, wanting to find ways to support the channel in any extra way. I really do appreciate all the support you guys are already giving me. That's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm out.